This is a rare Ethiopian Orthodox Bible manuscript, handwritten in Ethiopia's sacred liturgical language, Ge'ez.
For almost 2,000 years, Christians have been told the same story. Jesus rose from the dead, appeared to his followers, and ascended to heaven. End of story. But what if that wasn't the end at all? Hidden away in the mountains of Ethiopia lies a Bible so ancient, so massive, that it contains secrets the Western Church has never wanted you to see. And at the heart of these secrets, the words Jesus spoke after his resurrection. Words so shocking, so specific, that they seem to describe our world today with terrifying accuracy. This isn't speculation. This isn't conspiracy. These are ancient texts preserved for centuries by Ethiopian monks who believed these words must never be lost. What did Jesus really say during those mysterious 40 days before he ascended? The answers will shake everything you thought you knew. The Bible, the world, forgotten. Most people think of the Bible as one unchanging book, but that's simply not true. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church possesses one of the oldest and largest biblical collections in existence. Their Bible contains 81 books. The standard Protestant Bible, just 60 skein. That means 15 entire books were left out of the version most of the world reads today. Why? We'll get to that. But first, you need to understand how this happened. In the 4th century, missionaries from Syria traveled to what was then the Kingdom of Aksum, modern-day Ethiopia. They brought with them an enormous collection of sacred literature, texts that would later be rejected, hidden, or outright banned by the Roman Church. But Ethiopia was different, isolated in the mountains, never colonized.
Missionaries from Syria went down to what then was referred to as the Kingdom of Aksum, which is in modern-day Ethiopia, and they brought with them a whole host of literature.
The Ethiopian Church preserved everything. They didn't follow Rome's rules. They weren't forced to edit their beliefs. And so, for nearly 2 millennia, these texts survived untouched, while the rest of the world forgot they ever existed. The Covenant of the 40 Days. One of the most important texts in the Ethiopian tradition is called the Mashafi Kidan, the Book of the Covenant. This book claims to record exactly what Jesus taught his disciples during the 40 days after his resurrection, but before his ascension. And the Jesus who speaks in these pages is not simply a gentle teacher. He speaks as the King of heaven and earth, and his warnings are absolutely chilling. He tells his followers to go into the world and build God's kingdom, but not through worldly power or conflict. The Holy Spirit would be their true strength. What happens inside a person's heart, he taught, matters far more than temples or rituals. But then comes the warning. Jesus predicts that over time, people will twist his words. They will use his name for their own gain. He says there will come a day when people shout his name in the streets, but their hearts will be far away from him. They will build massive temples of gold and stone, but forget the real temple, the human soul. When you look at the state of organized religion today, those words hit differently, but the prophecies get even more specific.
That little reference in Genesis, if you want to know the full story of what the author is alluding to, you read 1 Enoch, specifically the Book of the Watchers.
Jesus describes wars fought in his name. He speaks of lies being treated as truth. One powerful line stands out. Blessed are those who suffer for my name, not in word, but in silence. This is a Jesus who walks with the forgotten, the unseen, those who believe deeply in their hearts rather than those making the most noise. The apocalypse they left out. The warnings were just the beginning. What Jesus showed next was far more terrifying. Many people are fascinated by the Book of Revelation, but the Ethiopian Bible contains apocalyptic visions, even more graphic and disturbing. Among the texts they preserved is the Apocalypse of Peter. While fragments of this book existed elsewhere, the Ethiopian version is one of the most complete in existence. In this text, Jesus takes Peter to a high mountain after his resurrection and shows him 2 visions: the glory of the saved and the horrific torment of the damned. This is not a simple story of good versus evil. The punishments described are specific and deeply unsettling. Those who twisted justice and accepted bribes, immersed in a river of fire up to their knees. Those who bore false witness, shown chewing their own tongues in agony. The imagery is so intense, so detailed, that it makes Dante's Inferno look tame by comparison. Why would Jesus show this to his most beloved disciple? The text suggests it was a warning. He was showing Peter the consequences of the corruption, greed, and hypocrisy he had just warned about. He was showing what was truly at stake. A prophecy about the future of faith. But these texts contain more than just visions of judgment. They hold a prophecy about the future of faith itself. Jesus says that in the last days, his voice will rise again from unexpected places, from deserts, from mountains, from the children of those who were enslaved. His spirit, he says, will speak through those who are ignored by the powerful. This completely inverts the traditional image of the church. It suggests that truth may not come from those in positions of authority, but from the humble and forgotten. The Ethiopian writings also describe Jesus' teaching about angels and dark entities. He instructs his followers to pray with their whole being, not just with words. Let your body become a living prayer, one text says. Let your silence speak louder than sermons. Why the Western Church rejected these writings. So why did Rome reject these texts? The Ethiopian tradition points to 3 reasons. First, political control. Rome wanted one clear, simple Bible that could be easily managed and used to maintain authority. Second, the mysticism. These Ethiopian books are filled with visions, spiritual battles, and angelic encounters. Western leaders found this too strange and too difficult to control. Third, and perhaps most importantly, fear. They were afraid that if people heard these teachings, they would seek God directly instead of relying on the church for guidance. These texts claim Jesus remained on earth for 40 full days, revealing what they call the heavenly scrolls. He taught that every thought builds either a ladder to heaven or a path to darkness. He warned that his words would be changed, his image repainted, and his name sold. When we see how often his name is used today for money and power, those warnings feel absolutely prophetic. Waking up from the dream. The Ethiopian Bible goes beyond warnings and visions. Some texts dive into the very nature of reality itself. These writings say that after his resurrection, Jesus shared secret lessons never recorded in the common Gospels. He taught that the end of the body is not the end of life. The body, he said, is like clothing that wears out, but the spirit continues. When the body falls away, the spirit returns to its true home. What people should truly fear, he explained, is living without the spirit. He called this the death that walks while the heart still beats. A person could appear alive on the outside while being completely empty within. But perhaps the most profound teaching sounds remarkably like ancient Gnostic philosophy. Some Ethiopian texts speak of 2 creators in a false world. One creator of true light, the Father of all, and another being a builder of shadows, who in his pride fashioned a physical world that appeared beautiful but was not made of pure spirit. This being, blind to the greater light above him, called himself the only God. Because of this, the world became mixed, beauty and pain, truth and lies, all tangled together. Jesus, according to these texts, came into this world not simply to save souls from their misdeeds, but to help them wake up from a false dream. The true light of God, he taught, still lives inside all things, even within the darkness. Every soul's mission is to find that hidden spark and return it to the eternal light. The final prophecy. Before his ascension, Jesus gave what the Ethiopian writings call his final prophecy. He said, a time would come when love would disappear and faith would become mere performance. People would worship with their mouths, but not their hearts. But in that same time, he promised his spirit would rise again, not in grand temples, but inside the calm and the broken. My spirit, he said, will move where religion cannot reach. The proud will not see it, but the broken will. They will know me not through words, but through fire. This fire, the writings explain, is the fire of awakening. It cleanses the soul and opens the eyes. It is the moment you realize what is truly important. The heart of all these teachings is simple. The kingdom of God is not somewhere far away. It exists inside every single person. The soul itself is the true temple. How Ethiopia became the guardian of these secrets. Why Ethiopia of all places? Ethiopia is one of the oldest nations on earth. Unlike almost every other African country, it was never colonized. While empires rose and fell and other nations had their histories rewritten by conquerors, Ethiopia preserved its culture, its language, and its ancient beliefs. Many Ethiopians trace their lineage back to Ham, one of Noah's sons. But the connection goes deeper still. According to the Kebra Nagast, Ethiopia's national epic, the Queen of Sheba was an Ethiopian queen. When she visited King Solomon, they had a son named Menelik I. And when Menelik returned to Ethiopia, the story says he brought the Ark of the Covenant with him. Millions of Ethiopians believe the Ark, containing the original 10 Commandments, remains in Ethiopia today, guarded in a small chapel in Aksum. This history explains their unique faith. Long before Christianity spread through Europe, Ethiopia already knew the God of the Bible. Historical records confirm Christianity was present there as early as the 4th century. A traveler in the 6th century described it as already a fully Christian nation. Imagine a version of Christianity that never received the updates. While the great churches in Rome and Constantinople debated, argued, and edited their beliefs, one church remained completely isolated from it all. Because Ethiopia was unbothered, they kept everything. The books, the world, lost. The Ethiopian Bible includes ancient texts intentionally excluded from nearly every other Bible on earth. The most famous are the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees. The Book of Enoch is particularly significant. It describes a group of fallen angels called the Watchers, who descended to earth, saw human women, and mated with them. This forbidden union created a terrifying race of giants called the Nephilim. But it gets darker. The book describes a brutal war in heaven. It explains the origin of demons, claiming they are the restless, disembodied spirits of the dead giants. The early Western Church actually used this book. They referenced it, they believed it. But over time, the story was deemed too strange, too chaotic. Rome effectively banned it. Ethiopia simply kept it. There's another reason these texts remained hidden. The Ethiopian Bible is written in Ge'ez, an ancient language almost nobody understands today. This linguistic barrier, combined with Ethiopia's protected location high in the mountains, turned the country into a time capsule of early Christianity. The question that remains, did the Ethiopian Church preserve the true terrifying words of Jesus? Or is this simply another mystery we will never fully solve? What we know is this: these texts exist. They have existed for nearly 2,000 years, and what they contain challenges everything the Western world has been taught about what Jesus said after he rose from the dead. The words are there, the warnings are clear, the question is whether we're willing to listen.